Most people are always chasing something. More money, more success, more respect, more peace. But the more they chase, the more frustrated they become, because they believe life rewards stress, pressure, and desperation. Stoicism teaches the opposite. It teaches that the strongest results come from calm discipline, not emotional chaos. The Stoics understood something most people never realize. You don't attract the life you want by forcing it. You build the life you want by becoming the person who deserves it. Success is not a lottery. Wealth is not luck. Peace is not an accident. They are the natural results of how you think, how you act, and how you respond to life. Most people waste their energy worrying about outcomes they cannot control. Stoics focus on one thing only: their character, their actions, their discipline. And when those three are strong, results follow. Not instantly, not magically, but inevitably. This video is not about manifestation fantasies. This is about Stoic rules that quietly reshape your mindset, your habits, and your decisions until your life starts changing on the outside. You will learn how to stay calm under pressure, stop sabotaging your own progress, build discipline without burning out, think long-term instead of emotionally, create success without losing your peace. If you master these rules, you won't need to chase everything. The right things will start moving toward you, because when your mind becomes stable, your actions become consistent, and your character becomes strong, life has no choice but to respond. Till 1. Control yourself before you try to control life. Most people try to control life instead of controlling themselves. They want situations to be perfect, people to behave better, and outcomes to go their way. When that doesn't happen, they become stressed, angry, or disappointed. Stoicism starts with a simple truth. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. Epictetus explained this clearly. Some things are in your control: your thoughts, your decisions, your actions, your effort. Other things are not. Other people's behavior, the past, the economy, luck, or sudden problems. When you confuse these two, you suffer. Most anxiety comes from trying to control what is not yours to control. Stoics do the opposite. They focus their energy only on what they can actually influence. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What is the best thing I can do right now?" This single shift changes everything. When you focus on your actions instead of outcomes, your mind becomes calmer. You stop reacting emotionally to every small problem. You stop wasting energy complaining. You start moving forward even when conditions are not perfect. Self-control is not about suppressing emotions. It is about not letting emotions control your decisions. Anger can make you say things you later regret. Fear can stop you from taking necessary risks. Ego can make you defend mistakes instead of fixing them. A Stoic learns to pause, think, and then choose the right response. This is real strength. Two people can face the same problem. One panics and gives up. The other stays calm and looks for solutions. The situation is the same, but the outcome is different because the mindset is different. Life rewards the person who stays disciplined under pressure. When you learn to control yourself, you become stable even when life is unstable. You can work when motivation is low. You can think clearly when things go wrong. You can stay focused when others are distracted. This is why this rule attracts success. Not because you control the world, but because you control your behavior inside the world. You don't need perfect conditions. You need consistent actions. And when you practice this every day, your life slowly starts changing. Not through magic, not through luck, but through quiet, repeated self-mastery. Rule 2. Focus on what you can control. Ignore the rest. Most people lose their energy in the wrong places. They worry about other people's opinions, about things going wrong, about the past, and about the future. None of these worries change anything. They only make the mind tired. Stoicism teaches a very practical rule. Put your attention only on what you can control and stop giving emotional energy to what you cannot. You can control your effort. You can control your preparation. You can control your attitude. You can control your response. You cannot control other people. You cannot control luck. You cannot control timing. You cannot control every result. The problem is that most people reverse this. They ignore their own actions and try to control outcomes. When the outcome doesn't match their expectations, they feel angry, anxious, or disappointed. A Stoic does the opposite. Instead of saying, "I hope this works," a Stoic says, "I will do my part properly and accept whatever result comes." This mindset removes unnecessary stress. You stop arguing with reality. You stop feeling like life is unfair every time something goes wrong. You understand that your job is to act well, not to control the universe. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that you always have power over your mind, not outside events. This idea is not just philosophical, it is deeply practical. When you focus on what you can control, you become more disciplined. You prepare better. You work more consistently. You stop wasting time complaining. You start improving the only thing that truly belongs to you, your actions. Think about exams, business, fitness, or any goal. You cannot control the final result perfectly, but you can control how seriously you train, how honestly you work, and how focused you stay. Over time, this always produces better outcomes than stress and overthinking. Another benefit of this rule is emotional stability. When something goes wrong, you don't collapse. You simply ask, "Did I do my part?" If yes, you move on. If not, you correct it and continue. This keeps your self-respect intact and your mind calm. Ignoring what you cannot control is not weakness. It is intelligence. It is choosing not to fight battles you can never win. When you practice this daily, your life becomes simpler, clearer, and more focused. You stop being dragged around by every situation. You start moving with purpose. And slowly, without forcing anything, your results begin to improve. Rule 3. Build discipline. Don't depend on motivation. Most people wait to feel motivated before they act. When they feel inspired, they work. When they don't, they stop. This is why their progress is inconsistent and their results are unstable. Stoicism teaches a different approach. Build discipline, not dependence on mood. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes. Some days you feel strong, some days you feel tired, bored, or doubtful. If your actions depend on how you feel, your life will move in circles. Discipline is different. Discipline means you do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to get out of bed and do his duty, not because it was pleasant, but because it was necessary. This is the Stoic mindset. Do the work first, let the feelings come later. Think about it. If you only go to the gym when you feel motivated, you won't build a strong body. If you only study when you feel inspired, you won't build real skill. If you only work when you're in the mood, you won't build anything stable. Motivation is like weather. Discipline is like climate. Weather changes every day. Climate stays. A Stoic builds routines and standards that do not depend on emotions. You decide in advance what your daily actions will be, and then you follow through whether you feel excited or not. This does not make life dull. It makes life reliable. Another benefit of discipline is self-trust. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. You start seeing yourself as someone who does what he says he will do. This kind of confidence is much stronger than emotional excitement. Discipline also protects you from excuses. The mind is very creative when it wants to avoid effort. It will say, "I'm tired, I'll start tomorrow, I need the right mood." Stoicism cuts through this by asking a simple question: what is my duty right now? You don't need perfect energy. You need consistent action. When you live this way, progress becomes boring but powerful. Small actions repeated daily start to change your life in ways motivation never could. This is why discipline attracts results, not because it feels good, but because it works. Rule 4. Detach from outcomes. Focus on your effort. Most people suffer, not because they work hard, but because they are emotionally attached to results. They want success to come quickly, they want recognition, they want things to go exactly as planned. When reality doesn't match these expectations, they feel frustrated, anxious, or disappointed. Stoicism teaches a powerful rule: do your work well, but let go of the result. This does not mean you stop caring about success. It means you stop letting success or failure decide your peace of mind. Your job is to control your effort. The outcome depends on many things you cannot control: timing, other people, luck, circumstances. When you attach your happiness to outcomes, you give these external things power over your emotions. A Stoic refuses to do that. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you should ask yourself in every situation, is this in my control or not? If it is, act with full commitment. If it is not, accept it calmly. Think about any goal: business, career, exams, fitness, relationships. You can do everything right and still not get the exact result you wanted. That does not mean your effort was wasted. Effort builds skill. Effort builds character. Effort builds experience. Outcomes are temporary. The person you become through effort is permanent. When you focus
only on results, you become impatient. You start cutting corners, you start comparing yourself to others, you start feeling like a failure too early. When you focus on effort, you stay steady, you improve daily, you measure yourself by what you did, not by what happened. This mindset also removes fear of failure. If your self-respect comes from your effort, not from winning, you are free to try harder things. You stop being paralyzed by the idea of losing. Stoics understood that many great results come slowly. They also understood that many things are simply not in your hands. So they chose the only fair standard. Did I do my duty well today? If the answer is yes, the day was a success. If the answer is no, you correct it tomorrow. This keeps your mind calm and your progress steady. When you practice this rule, you work with less stress and more consistency. You stop burning yourself emotionally. You start building long-term results. And slowly, without forcing it, life begins to reward your stability. Rule 5. Choose long-term thinking over short-term comfort. Most people know what they should do. They just don't do it. Why? Because short-term comfort is more tempting than long-term results. Sleep feels better than waking up early. Scrolling feels easier than working. Avoiding a hard conversation feels safer than facing it. Stoicism teaches a simple but difficult rule. Choose what builds your future, not what feels good right now. Short-term comfort makes life easy today and hard tomorrow. Long-term discipline makes life hard today and easy tomorrow. A Stoic understands this trade-off clearly. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about resisting comfort and choosing duty. Not because comfort is evil, but because dependence on comfort makes you weak. When you always choose what feels good, your discipline slowly disappears. When discipline disappears, consistency disappears. And when consistency disappears, results disappear. Think about any area of life that matters: health, money, skills, relationships. None of these are built through comfort. They are built through repeated, sometimes boring, sometimes uncomfortable actions. Going to the gym is uncomfortable at first. Studying when you're tired is uncomfortable. Saving money instead of spending it is uncomfortable. Telling the truth when it's risky is uncomfortable. But these small discomforts protect you from much bigger pain later. Stoicism trains you to see comfort and pain differently. It teaches you that not all pain is bad and not all comfort is good. Some pain is training, some comfort is a trap. A Stoic asks a simple question before making decisions. Will this make me stronger or weaker in the long run? If it makes you weaker, it's probably comfort in disguise. If it makes you stronger, it's probably discipline. Another powerful effect of long-term thinking is self-respect. Every time you choose the harder but better option, you prove to yourself that you are not controlled by impulses. This builds quiet confidence. You stop seeing yourself as someone who gives up easily. You start seeing yourself as someone who can be trusted. This also makes your life more stable. Short-term thinking creates ups and downs, excitement, regret, guilt, stress. Long-term thinking creates steady progress. You don't need to become extreme. You just need to stop letting comfort decide your life. Small daily choices made with long-term thinking change everything. That is how Stoics build a life that works, not just one that feels easy. Rule 6. Accept reality instead of fighting it. A lot of mental pain comes from one habit: arguing with reality. People say, this shouldn't have happened, they shouldn't be like this, my life should be easier than this. But reality does not listen to should. Stoicism teaches a powerful rule: accept what is, then act wisely. Acceptance does not mean liking what happened, it means stopping the useless fight inside your head. When something goes wrong, you always have two problems: the situation itself, your resistance to it. The second one usually hurts more than the first. Marcus Aurelius wrote that if something is outside your control, it deserves neither your anger nor your complaint. This doesn't mean you become passive. It means you stop wasting energy on what cannot be changed and start using that energy on what can. Think about delays, mistakes, losses, or unfair situations. You can spend hours being angry about them. Will that change the past? No. Will it make the present better? No. It only makes your mind tired and bitter. A Stoic asks a different question. This is what happened. What is the best move now? That question shifts you from victim to problem solver. Acceptance gives you clarity. When you stop emotionally resisting reality, you can finally see your options. You can adjust your plan. You can choose a smarter response. You can move forward. Fighting reality keeps you stuck. Accepting reality sets you free to act. Another important part of this rule is accepting people as they are. Many people suffer because they want others to change. They want everyone to be fair, honest, calm, and reasonable. But humans are imperfect, always have been, always will be. Stoics don't build their peace on the hope that people will behave better. They build their peace on their own standards and responses. This doesn't mean you tolerate bad behavior. It means you stop being emotionally shocked by it. When you expect imperfection, you are less disturbed by it. Acceptance also builds resilience. When life hits you, you don't collapse. You adapt, you adjust, you continue. This is why acceptance success. Not because it makes life easy, but because it keeps you moving when others are stuck complaining. Reality is what it is. Your power is in what you do next. When you stop fighting what already exists and start working with it, your life becomes calmer, clearer, and more effective. That is Stoic strength. Rule 7. Guard your mind from negative influence. Your mind is shaped by what you allow into it. Most people don't realize this, but they slowly become a reflection of what they watch, read, listen to, and discuss every day. If your environment is full of complaints, fear, drama, and negativity, your thinking will slowly become the same. Stoicism teaches a simple but powerful rule. Protect your mind like you protect your body. You don't eat everything you see. You don't drink anything that looks dirty. In the same way, you shouldn't feed your mind with everything that appears on your screen or around you. Marcus Aurelius warned that the soul becomes colored by its thoughts. This means your inner world is not random. It is built slowly and quietly by your daily inputs. If you constantly consume negative news, angry opinions, hopeless stories, complaints and gossip, your mind will start seeing the world as hostile, unfair and heavy. Even if your own life is fine, your mood will feel worse. A Stoic is careful about this. This does not mean you ignore reality. It means you choose how much of it you let into your head and what kind. You ask, is this making me calmer or more anxious? Is this helping me think clearly or just making me emotional? Is this useful or just noise? If something only makes you angry, fearful or distracted without helping you act better, it is probably not worth your attention. Another part of guarding your mind is choosing your conversations. Some people drain your energy. They only complain, criticize, and see problems everywhere. If you spend too much time in that environment, your own thinking becomes heavy and negative. Stoics don't hate these people. They just don't let their mindset take over their own. You become more selective with what you discuss, what you argue about, and what you emotionally invest in. This also applies to social media and entertainment. Not everything is harmful, but too much emotional noise weakens focus and discipline. When your mind is calm and clear, you make better decisions, you work better, you respond better, you stay more stable under pressure. This is why guarding your mind attracts better results, not through magic, but through clarity and consistency. A clean mind is like clean water. You can see through it, you can move through it. When you protect your mental environment, you protect your future actions. And when your actions improve, your life slowly improves too. Rule 8. Become comfortable with discomfort. Most people run from discomfort. They avoid hard work. They avoid difficult conversations. They avoid uncertainty. They avoid effort. But Stoicism teaches a very different rule. Discomfort is training. If you always choose what is easy, your life becomes harder. If you sometimes choose what is hard, your life becomes easier. The Stoics believe that controlled discomfort makes you stronger, not because pain is good, but because resistance builds capacity. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself not to seek comfort, but to do what is necessary. Epictetus trained himself to accept difficulty calmly, knowing that it was shaping his character. Think about physical training. Your muscles grow only when they are challenged. The same is true for your mind and your discipline. If you always avoid effort, your tolerance for stress becomes very low. Small problems start feeling big. Small delays start feeling unbearable. Your life becomes emotionally fragile. When you practice discomfort on purpose, your mind becomes tougher. This does not mean you should make life miserable. It means you should stop treating comfort as the highest goal. Simple examples. Wake up when you should, not when you feel like. Do the hard task first, not the easy one. Have the honest conversation instead of avoiding it. Stay consistent even when you feel bored or tired. These small acts build inner strength. Another benefit of this rule is confidence. When you prove to yourself that you can handle discomfort, fear loses power over you. You stop seeing difficulty as a threat and start seeing it as a challenge. Most people are not limited by lack of talent. They are limited by low tolerance for discomfort. Stoicism fixes this. You don't wait for life to be comfortable before you act. You act and you become comfortable with effort. Over time, something changes. The things that once felt hard start feeling normal. The things that once felt impossible start feeling manageable. This is how discipline becomes natural. Discomfort stops being an enemy and becomes a tool. And when you are no longer afraid of discomfort, you stop avoiding the actions that actually build success. That is why Stoics grow steadily, while others stay stuck in the search for comfort. Or 9. Measure your life by character, not by comparison. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to lose peace. You look at someone else's success, someone else's money, someone else's lifestyle, and suddenly your own progress feels small. Stoicism teaches a different standard. Measure yourself by your character and effort, not by other people's results. The moment you start comparing, you hand your happiness to things you don't control. There will always be someone richer, faster, smarter, or more successful. If your self-worth depends on being ahead of others, you will never rest. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that it is better to be good than to be seen as good. This is a powerful idea. It shifts your focus from appearance to substance. A Stoic asks, did I act with discipline today? Did I keep my values under pressure? Did I do my duty honestly? These questions build a stable sense of self-respect. Comparison does the opposite. It makes your mood depend on someone else's highlight reel. You feel good when you're ahead, you feel bad when you're behind. Your emotional state becomes externally controlled. That is not freedom. Another problem with comparison is that it lies to you. You usually compare your behind the scenes to someone else's best moments. You don't see their stress, their failures, or their private struggles. You only see results. Stoicism brings you back to what is fair and real, your own actions. You can't control how fast others move. You can't control how consistently you move. You can't control what others achieve. You can't control how seriously you work. This mindset also protects you from jealousy and bitterness. When you respect your own standards, other people's success stops feeling like a threat. It becomes information, not an insult. You can learn from others without competing emotionally with them. This rule also makes your progress more sustainable. Instead of rushing, cutting corners, or burning out to keep up, you build steadily. You improve your skills, you strengthen your habits, you become better than your previous self, not better than someone else. That is the only comparison that actually helps. Over time, this creates a calm confidence. You stop needing to prove yourself. You stop chasing validation. You focus on becoming reliable, disciplined, and strong in your own way. Life becomes quieter. Work becomes steadier. Progress becomes more real. When you measure your life by character instead of comparison, you stop running someone else's race. You finally start running your own. Rule 10. Practice gratitude and detachment at the same time. Most people either take things for granted or cling to them too tightly. Both create problems. When you take things for granted, you become careless. When you cling to things, you become anxious and afraid to lose them. Stoicism teaches a balanced rule. Be grateful for what you have, but don't become dependent on it. Gratitude keeps you grounded. It reminds you that many things in your life could be worse. It helps you appreciate what is already working instead of only focusing on what is missing. But gratitude alone is not enough. If you become emotionally dependent on what you have, you start living in fear of losing it. That fear makes your happiness fragile. Epictetus taught that you should treat everything you enjoy as something you are borrowing, not something you own forever. This does not make you cold, it makes you mentally prepared. You enjoy what you have while it is there, and if it leaves, you do not collapse with it. This mindset is powerful because it removes two big sources of stress. The stress of always wanting more, the fear of losing what you already have. When you are grateful, you stop feeling empty. When you are detached, you stop feeling afraid. Together, they create emotional stability. This rule also helps you make better decisions. When you are not desperate to protect or hold on to something at any cost, you think more clearly. You don't panic. You don't act out of fear. You don't sacrifice your values just to avoid loss. Another benefit of this mindset is freedom. When you know you can live without many things, those things stop controlling you. Money, status, relationships, comfort, they remain important, but they no longer decide your peace of mind. You become calmer, you become more confident, you become less emotionally reactive. This is not about lowering your goals. It is about strengthening your mind so your goals don't own you. When you practice gratitude and detachment together, you enjoy life more and fear it less. You work hard without desperation. You succeed without arrogance. You lose without being destroyed. This is one of the deepest Stoic skills, to hold life with open hands, not with clenched fists. And when you live this way, your mind becomes lighter, your actions become wiser, and your life becomes more stable.